So that concludes Tag Team Wrestling. Now we're going to move on to our AEW and Impact review. First, we'll talk about Impact. I'm going to go through it real quick because nobody watches Impact. You actually watch Impact, but...
As I said, I'm so sorry. Thank you for taking the hit for us.
First match was Havoc versus Tasha Steelz. Havoc tombstoned Steelz and won the match. Havoc is a big, mean-looking girl. She comes to the ring in like this face mask. The one thing I will say about Impact Wrestling is they do have a lot of beefier girls, bigger girls. And I'm not talking Nia Jax big. I'm talking like athletically big.
Okay.
I mean, granted, Havoc is probably close to Nia Jax's size, but she can move. She's just not like a leg drop, which we'll talk about later.
I feel like it's something TNA has always done better than the other organizations, which is really get some good young women wrestlers, not the eye candy, not the, no offense to Stacey
They
Keebler,
have it.
But
that was the whole, we're not divas, we're knockouts.
Yeah, Tessa Blanchard started there. Great. You know, Awesome Kong started there. Madison Rayne. You know,
Gail Kim. She made a career there so much that WWE had to have her back to kill her career again for her to go back there and remake her career again.
And it's something WWE has not done a great job of, and I haven't seen enough out of AEW to know. But if TNA has set themselves apart in one area, it's women's wrestling.
AEW has destroyed women's wrestling. They do not know how to do it right at all. You want to talk about good women's wrestling, start watching NXT.
NXT's probably... If I had to compare what the TNA Knockouts roster would have been, it would probably be pretty close to what the NXT is, because you do have the top 5 that work really well, and then the 5 that are under that are kind of But when they are smart and they pair the good with the not so good, it makes it good. Mm-hmm. You know, you can get through it. When it's the 2 people who can't really work, you're just kind of like, oh my god.
There was a spot where Tommy Dreamer thanked Rich Swann for offering him a spot chance at the championship at the pay-per-view. He always remembers how he did not take the shot against Terry Funk in ECW, and he regretted it ever since. And speaking of Terry Funk, our hearts are out. We're praying for him. He's apparently in a lot of pain. He sent out a message asking people to please stop asking for autographs and things like that. He's just too old, too hurt, and just can't do it anymore. So
yes, he's not dying.
Right.
We want to re-clarify that from what Cody said on that, because he had to correct that essentially. He's just in a lot of pain right now, guys. So
and he wants to just kind of
relax.
Ride into the sunset, if you will.
Yeah, well, maybe he shouldn't have done that 9 millionth moonsault.
Right. The Good Brothers showed up and said they love dumping the people in AEW on their head, or AEW in their heads. Brian Meyer came out. Apparently he looks like Snake Plissken now. Brian Meyer is the old Kurt Hawkins. Mm-hmm. This is what he gets for wrestling the most unprofessional wrestler of all times, Eddie Edwards. Yeah, no, I can think of somebody else who's a little more unprofessional, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Eddie Edwards is a sweetheart. Okay.
So Josh Alexander beat Madman Fulton. I can't stand Madman Fulton. Larry D beat Crazy Steve. Jordan Grace wrestled Susan. So Susan has 3 personas. She is Susan, she's Susie, and she's the undead bride, Su Yung.
Thank you for reminding me who Su Yung was.
So
multiple personalities?
Yes.
I think I dated her. Okay.
All right. So after Jordan Grace beat Susan with Deonna Purrazzo on her time, so you got some points for her being up on the show.
Yeah. Right on.
ODB showed up.
Oh my gosh.
What showed up first? Her
yes.
Her Kazongas, and then she came out?
Right.
Calm your hair coming around a corner before they come around? Yeah.
And she's got Jordan Grace's back. Jordan Grace is beautiful. She's a bigger girl, but she's beautiful. Beautiful girl. Then back.
Why does ODB keep coming back?
Because she's got a food truck. Yeah. And she feeds the wrestlers in the parking lot.
Probably, she's COVID clear, so they're like, hey, you're not doing anything, right?
She loves it. Yeah. She's really hoping. She said in an interview that she keeps bringing her food truck closer and closer to Jacksonville. She wants to show up on stage.
Nice. Well, I think for her, almost kind of like AJ and some other people in a way. I remember she was talking about, so she was in developmental at WWE, and I think this was after she kind of popped a little bit for TNA, and she goes up there, and I remember Jim Ross said to her, she's like, "You're unique. You're never going to go anywhere here. If you can get out and go back and do what you do, go back and do what you do, because they're going to stall you here."
Yeah.
And she's never gone back there, and she's always been, when ODB comes out, like we talked, it's ODB.
Yeah.
Right. And she's toned down some of her vulgarity.
Well, I imagine some of the networks are probably a bit different from
Yeah.
things like that,
But and she's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but you know who she is. She has an instant pop appeal, and she's fun.
And her and Eric Young together was great in TNA.
I'll have to go back and see some of that.
bizarre.
Yeah.
So Trey comes out, and apparently, so Trey was part of the Radicals / MSK, now in NXT, that stayed behind.
We're just going to skip anything that they're involved in, because if he's associated with them, he is already sewage to me.
So Trey calls out his old partners. He calls them crutches. They were always, people thought they were holding him up. He was actually holding them down, and now he's able to go out and do his own thing. So the most unprofessional wrestler in wrestling history, Sami Callihan, comes out and tells him he should reassess himself. Apparently, Sami Callihan got Shamrock suspended because Shamrock was choking out referees because Sami was his.
So they're just going back to Crazy Shamrock.
Yeah. What did the article say? He was not his push or his influence or his.
Oh, like influence, like
antagonizer or.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then Raja beat TJP, so I lose points for that. And then in the main event, you had Chris Bay and Moose defeat Rich Swann and Tommy Dreamer.
So did you just cancel yourself out? No. Who has Moose?
He has Moose.
I got
He has
Moose.
Moose.
Dad has Rich Swann.
Okay, he's got Rich Swann.
The best part of the show is the paid advertisement from the two Tonys, Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone. Every show they do a paid advertisement, just kind of like the old NWO days. They're really good, and basically they announced on Impact that Tony Khan has reassessed and he's letting Moxley defend his belt in Japan because John Moxley is the New Japan
IWGP
United States Championship, so he's going to allow him to defend that belt, which definitely will come into what happened on AEW later on.
Okay, well, you know what? For the gentleman in the room who takes the bullet and is one of the 164,000 people who watch this show, what did you think? Like,
I didn't actually watch this one.
I haven't watched that one.
Okay.
I'm playing catch up on the DVR. But let me say this about TNA. I think TNA has finally established they finally know their role.
Which is they're the bottom bitch.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, for a long time they tried to go toe to toe. They wanted to act like they were the big boys, and they wanted to retain all the big name talent. They had that failed experiment of trying to go to Monday nights. I think at this point, they've just realized that they're going to be like Ring of Honor. They're going to bring up new talent, and then the new talent's going to get paid off to go somewhere else, and they're going to be like the minor leagues from now.
So you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think what they're doing with AEW is smart?
Well, I think it's smart for them. I don't know what AEW's
gets out of this.
Yeah, I mean,
well, so he did a statistical breakdown a couple weeks ago. AEW brings in 700,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Impact brings in 90.
Yeah.
They
90.
So Impact has usually been notorious for releasing their numbers for what they pull, but they were able to pull their December data, which is where I took the numbers from, and that was actually, I think I had to take a different December number for them because they don't release. And I compared it to where Raw was at, SmackDown was at, and then where AEW was at, and it just so happened to be the Sting show. So the Sting show drew almost like 1 million people, right? But normally they're around 675 or so. Impact, on one of their biggest shows that they had throughout the year during the Christmas season, pulled in like 160,000 people. So, but going back to your thing, is Impact accepting the fact that they're AAA at this point, or is it the fact that they don't have Panda Energy, Dixie Carter money anymore to go get those big names? Because one of the guys that we'll talk about that I eviscerated a while back, I remember when Randy Orton's contract was coming up, and they were talking about TNA's trying so hard to get Orton, because if they can get Orton, that's a name that exists on the roster that they could pull. Nowadays, they're not going to get any. The best they can get is Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, they got Kurt Hawkins. They got Matt Cardona, who used to be. Why can't I never remember his name? You always have to tell me what it is. Long Island.
Bro.
Ryder?
Yeah.
Zack
Ryder, yeah.
So they got Zack Ryder.
So
and
they have
Kurt
people
Hawkins.
whose careers were floundered anyway. I mean, if we look at, say, I don't know, who's a name on Raw or SmackDown at this point that would matter. You know, if Sheamus. Let's say Sheamus's contract was up next month, and TNA goes down and says, we want to be in the Sheamus business. They're not going to be able to pay him $2.2 million a year to come in and be Sheamus at this point.
Is Sheamus going to go hang out with Murrow?
Are they AAA because that's where they want to be and the new management wants to be there, or is it because the new management doesn't have a $90 billion company supporting
But
them?
here's the thing that they did do. You know, for everything you could say that TNA isn't, here's what they did do. They got New Japan TV off the air because they bought the channel.
It is. So your thoughts?
I think it's a mix of both, right? I think that they know they don't have the financial backing. They can't get the big name guys. They can't lure them over. So they've just said, okay, we accept this is where we are. This is what we're going to have to do.
Okay.
This invasion angle with AEW, I think, is sheer genius for both sides. For TNA, it's genius because they're exposing people to their brand that they weren't getting ratings, and they're on whack-a-mole channels to begin with. So I think
can't even find them.
I think for them it's a no-brainer. For AEW, though, I think it's smart because what's one thing that wrestling fans have talked about forever? What would happen if this guy faced this guy?
Right.
And so they'll never get that with WWE.
Yeah.
But the buzz, the online buzz about this invasion angle has driven people to AEW.
And it's made me interested. And they do have, I think one of the points that you have there that you really nailed is that TNA has everything to gain from this, and very, very little to lose because their audience is small, because their roster is small, because they don't have that backing anymore. But also when you talk about Ring of Honor, one of the outside things is Sinclair Broadcasting owns Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
It will always have a network as long as they want to be in the Ring of Honor business. TNA, as far as I know, is that guy owns it, and he has deals with 4 or 5 different places anymore. It's not what it used to be where they could say, we are on Spike. Spike produces 70% of our pay for our roster because they paid for Hulk Hogan. They paid for RWA. They paid for Jeff Hardy's contract. That didn't come from
I don't
see TNA.
I don't see TNA touring anytime soon.
Yeah, no.
All right, so
no, but I think their hope is that this boosts them a little bit, so they start to get a deal on a better network.
I want to see their numbers after this.
And I do like TNA's set more than I like the Thunderdome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
the best looking set is AEW's, then NXT, then TNA, and last.
NXT's starting to wear on me though because they're.
I know. I don't look. I've never looked at the faces. I don't even look at the faces anymore. It's just.
That's one of the big things has been the alternate between the crowd noise and the people not reacting with the family friends, but also they're starting like this week when we talk about the show using the lighting rig and stuff like that. I like that they're acknowledging that, but it's starting to make that seem like a small hockey rink. It's starting to make it not look like a wrestling dungeon, you know? It's starting to make it look like a show.
All right, so AEW starts with its tag team battle royal. It had like 10 different teams in it. So team members that we care about, John Silvers was in there for me from the Inner Circle. Sammy Hagar was in it.
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Guevara and Jack Hager were tag team together. Sammy Hagar.
Thanks, Jericho. That's all Jericho.
Jericho and MJF were in it. The Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy were in it. The Jacksons were in it. Ortiz and Santana were in it. There was like 4 teams from the Inner Circle, 3 teams from the Inner Circle, 4 teams from the.
So they literally blew 60% of the roster on the opening match.
Yeah. I
cannot wait to see where the rest of this show goes.
It went 11 and a half minutes to get through the tag team. The last tag team standing was Jericho and MJF. It was a tag team.
Why is this not a 30-minute match?
Well, I don't know.
Why is this not 30? If you're going to waste time with, what is that, 18 guys?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Riveting
8, 9,
television.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 26 guys.
26 guys.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. And your favorite tag team was in there. Not the Ascension, but the Accord. Your favorite rapping. They rapped to the ring.
Of course they did. They gave them time to rap, but we couldn't get, maybe 3 minutes of, say,
it was
MJF and
so
anybody else.
It came down to basically MJF screwing Sammy Guevara and securing the win for Jericho and MJF.
Okay, so we'll dogtail this back to when he said, hey, Sammy, don't go against me.
Yeah,
right?
This is going to back that. So then they did Sting and Darby back in the ring. Darby's going to fight Janela next week. Janela gets a tag team match against Darby. So there's some good points for you for somebody defending their belt.
Wait, a tag team? Oh, a
championship match. Sorry.
I was like, oh god. I was like, are they going to blow Sting before the pay-per-view?
Team Taz came out, so that gets point for Cage. They're backstage. They're not allowed inside the building because of beating people up last week. But don't worry, we're going to get our hands onto you. We're going to be watching that match with Janela. And Darby said nothing. Sting
Don't worry, no one is going to watch that match either.
Darby did no talking. Sting did all the talking.
So,
next match, Dr. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa.
They brought Thunder Rosa back, huh?
Yeah,
and Britt Baker. Okay.
For the NWA. It was not.
This is what happens when you put 26 wrestlers in the oopening match.
Yeah,
this is what you're left with.
But you know what? Thunder Rosa, but Britt Baker,
This was a 13 minute, 10 second match. Dave Meltzer gave it 4 3/4 stars.
I believe it.
I wrote, I don't care, some of the sloppiest fucking wrestling I've ever seen. Baker wins.
Well, they had a shot with Britt Baker, what would you say, a year ago? When they brought her in, and then they just killed her with Riho?
Well, she also broke her leg.
Oh, okay, well. I guess you can't fault them for that. But anyway, she was on the skids anyway.
I did not.
Riho.
I did not see this 3/4 star match. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I had just gotten back from the comic book store. I don't know. Anyway, so the next match, Matt Hardy and Hangman Page versus Chaos Project. Matt Hardy wrestled. This match lasted.
Good for Ron.
This match lasted 3 minutes and 51 seconds.
Mr. Ron has been a sweetheart and ran me a wonderful book that I put up on my personal page. I now have the first appearance of the Immortal Hulk signed by the artist who did the cover for Mark Brooks. And then
you were looking for that book.
Yeah, I was so hardcore getting on the book. He also is bringing me some wonderful smoked meat. So you know what? Mr. Ron getting... How many points does he get for Matt Hardy showing up?
Well, since they won, he gets like 2 or 4. All right.
So if you miss the match...
Yeah.
You can just look at Matt Hardy right here.
Yes.
You really do.
So this man.
Well, you look like broken Matt Hardy.
So here is some sloppy writing. This match was because Chaos Project ruined -1's birthday party, which they did. But why is Matt Hardy and Hangman Page, who have nothing to do?
Who specifically said, I don't want anything to do with the Dark Order.
Right.
And then Matt Hardy came out and said, I don't want anything to do with you, Matt Hardy. And Matt Hardy said, that's cool, bro. Let's be bros anyway.
So for some reason this match happened. A very massive spine buster by Page was amazing. I thought he was going to spine buster him through the ring.
Nice.
Hangman Page, good shot by you. Good pickup by you.
I still think Hunter had probably the best spine buster. When you say Hunter's spine buster is just gorgeous.
This one was.
I'll have pull me a clip and I'll watch it because I'd say him and I like Rocks. I think Rocks is okay.
So Page wins with the buckshot.
Arns is
yeah.
Of course he wins with the buckshot because Page is a beast.
And so now Hardy's being super huggy, trying to hug him, and Page is just like, "Get the F off me." So that weird angle that was going somewhere, they took a U-turn and now they're going some crazy with it.
So we're gonna have Matt Hardy and Hangman Page fight. Are they gonna? Oh, this is my prediction. Matt Hardy is going to put some weird contract thing on the line and say that if I beat you, you have to join the Matt Hardy brand with Dipshit House Party. And then we're going to have a forced Hangman Page, Matt Hardy group compound people where he will have a cinematic match at the compound with Reeve there and King Maxwell. And then we will have Hangman Page and Wolfgang, and then he'll break away from him at that point. So that is my 6-week plan for booking the Matt Hardy Hangman Page angle.
All right, so they announced the Female Eliminator Tournament. It is going to have 12 wrestlers from the U.S. and 12 wrestlers from Japan. Japan wrestlers are going to wrestle in Japan. The female U.S. are going to wrestle in the U.S. And they're going to, the winners of each bracket will wrestle each other at a later pay-per-view. Riho is one of the members of Team
USA?
Team USA.
I'm guessing she got her green card. Thank you, Kenny.
This is where the AEW female champion has been.
Yeah, because
she's in Japan helping the Japanese female wrestlers do their matches. And so that's why we're not seeing any of, not Io Shirai, but...
is it Serena Deeb? No, it's not Serena Deeb. Serena's...
no, the last time we saw her, Abaddon...
Oh, Abaddon?
No, Abaddon was drooling on her.
Oh, God.
Keisha... Anyway, her name is... I don't remember.
That's how important this is to the show. Is we can pick up Io Shirai and Dakota Sky, and we can pick up Serena Deeb and anything. AEW's women division, I couldn't tell you a single person.
It's garbage. It's really bad.
She's a very attractive Japanese wrestler. She's got actual skill. Shida. Her name is Shida.
Because yes, we kept calling her Ko-Shida.
Yes, Shida is a very talented wrestler, and she'll do good over there. And apparently, they're going to have this really good Japanese set. Here's why you had so many wrestlers in the Battle Royal.
Okay.
Next up is the wedding of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Have you ever seen a wedding go well on a wrestling show? Father.
Didn't Chuck and Billy's actually fire? I know we've made.
You are the resident Chuck and Billy fan. Did it go well?
Yeah, I mean, you were in front row, weren't you? You were like the best woman.
Father James Mitchell is the officiant.
Yes! Okay. I will watch this because anytime James Mitchell gets on TV, I love it. I love the Sinister Minister.
So we have, Jerry Lynn came out with the bride, with Penelope Ford.
Okay.
Along with Vicky Guerrero. I think she was the bridesmaid. Penelope is wearing the skankiest white dress I've ever seen in my life. Father James Mitchell says, "Welcome to this unholy ceremony."
No, you got it. Welcome to the unholy ceremony.
So they do their own...
He sounds like the 80-year-old woman at the slot machine who's just chain-smoking cigarettes. Bring me a whiskey, honey.
They do their own vows, and Kip makes a bunch of jokes about her breasts.
Isn't Kip married to Velvet Sky, though?
I think he's marrying her, for real.
Okay, I thought he was with Velvet.
I miss Velvet.
I miss Velvet, too. I don't know.
Father James Mitchell says to have and to grope, kayfabing all others.
Who was it you saw at the live show? Was it Velvet and who was the other one?
The one that's with Billy Ray's wife.
No, you saw Angelina Love.
Yeah.
I think he saw Velvet and Angelina Love, and he was just like, he's like 10 years has been hard on him.
They were.
Isn't Velvet still with Bully Ray?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because that was when the fan and happened at our show and the show that happened in Portland.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
So let's go. So back to this match.
Bully Ray.
To have and to grope, kayfabing all others. And then he gets to the part where he goes, "If there's anyone that feels," and Miro goes, "Nope, not doing this. Not doing this. We're going to skip right past that part. I've seen how this works out for others." Because remember,
his wedding got jacked up
by Bobby Lashley.
Hey, you remember that other show that more people watched than this show? Go watch reruns of that show to know what he's
that we're now actually making fun of.
Yeah.
So by the vow vested me by Tony Khan, you may now kiss the ball and chain. Like Mitchell's comments were great.
You should have worked that into your wedding, Joey.
So now Chucky T is technically no longer indentured. Remember? Until the wedding.
Yeah.
But nobody's thinking about these things.
No, we are.
Well, right.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are. Yes, I think you are. And
Yeah.
you're behind, right?
So now he's like, well, I want to know. And so Miro's like, what I want to know is what's in this big box. And Chuck E. T's like, oh, that's for me. That's my gift. And so he's like, again, I've seen how this happens. So he just beats up this box because as Cornette says,
Something comes out of the box, it's immediately over.
Yeah, the thing that comes out of the box is always going to be over. So there was nothing in the box. We spend 2 minutes of him beating up a box with nothing in it.
So they took a jab at Cornette via their show? Okay. All right.
I was like, I bet it's Trent. I bet it's Trent. Oh, there's nothing in there. So Miro says this toast. He's like, what is love? And the crowd starts chanting, don't hurt me! Don't hurt me no more! And he looks like, yes, I like this song too. And he starts to sing along because the crowd is so not giving a shit about this. So
I'm imagining at this point, somebody on legal is calling and going, quick, reserve the rights to this song so that way we don't get sued.
While this is happening, Miro's getting shackled by the ankle to the ring rope, which was the whole coming back around when we shackled you in. So then Chuck E. T's no longer indentured. He throws Penelope into the cake, so she gets the cake spot, and she doesn't do a very good job of it because she barely has a little frosting on her. Orange Cassidy comes out of the cake. What's you? And then we go to
your dad got.
Oh, that's your dad's.
Yeah, he got Orange Cassidy because he's stolen.
All right, and then they do. So AEW does their picture-in-picture a lot. They always like, don't worry, and JR's like, and don't worry, this will be coming to you with grade A picture-in-picture. So they do the picture-in-picture, so we get to watch the minions cleaning the ring. Cleaning up the keg, and cleaning out pulling out the flowers, and I'm like, huh.
That's some compelling TV right there.
Why are you watching?
Probably better than a wedding, though.
But it's like when we watch them fix the turnbuckle. You never see the minions on TV.
Yeah. Well, but still, JR's just got to be thinking, they're like, I just bottled another 450 barbecue sauce with this paycheck.
So then we go to inside the NBA.
Oh, God.
They cut to when when he was shooting on Cody. Kept calling him Cupcake Cody.
So don't worry, because if the article I saw was true, Shaq has already lost interest in this, and he's going to be investing in Bare Knuckle Boxing Federation, is what I understand. He's looking to be a significant investor. So don't worry, Shaq will probably fulfill his obligation, and then we're going to go see him destroy another company.
So he kept calling him Cupcake Cody, and so LeVar Ball.
Oh God!
Ball, yeah.
He's like, so you got a finishing move? He's like, yeah, I call it the Black Tornado. He goes, oh, really? And he comes up and he goes around the glass partition and he's like, I'll show you. And he's like, so basically it looks like the Judas Effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's a back elbow. And he did it like, I was just like, oh, God.
So wrestling
Is it
joke.
Is it curious, though, that AEW has spent to get all these spots at one time?
Tony Khan has so much money.
No, but I mean, are they?
Daddy does.
Are they? Can I say this on your show? Are they shooting their load all at once? Like they got Sting, and they got Shaq, and they got the invasion angle. Like they're going to be 6 months out and wondering what are we going to have for storylines? Like we've now wasted everything. And
so you're going.
Well, you forgot Snoop Dogg. Snoop
Dogg was there, and don't forget they had Tyson before he had his match come in, and Tyson shot an angle.
Yep.
So I think the thing that they're doing is like a little bit of like what WWE does around the time of big things. Like obviously they just gave the Tampa Bay a special belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
To say, oh, WWE headline here, or hey, Hogan's going to go through the wash at ESPN this week, and they'll be the big thing. I think they're literally just trying to capitalize on every week. Something has to happen that puts AEW.
They're throwing out nets. They're throwing out nets.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. Remember what happened when WCW did that?
They ran out of money.
But they ran out of ideas.
Well, they didn't run out of money. I think the issue with them, what they had, is that AEW has a different type of wrestling fan. Okay, they have the fan that I'm kind of not, even though this is what we do. We talk about wrestling on the internet. They are going after the smart internet fans. And it seems like that's what they want, because I think the Young Bucks, as we talked about, are awful. Anytime you look on the internet, they're the greatest tag team in the world. So I think if they can appease that audience and keep that core by throwing these out, whatever we rip apart isn't going to matter, because they've maintained that core audience at that point. So while they've cast out this big net to grab the headline, maybe at this point wrestling is so delegitimized of they could put the title on David Arquette. They could put the title on Shaq at the next show, and everybody would lose their minds and go, oh my God, Shaq's the new AEW champion. And then sure, we would rip it apart. Some people would rip it apart. But the fans are going to go, no, that's brilliant, because look at all these new fans that they have of Shaq.
So here's a match you're going to... This was a really good match. Kingston versus... so I wrote Kingston versus Eddie. I'm dumb. It's Archer versus Eddie Kingston in a lumberjack match. They beat the shit out of each other again.
Yeah.
They just beat the shit out of each other.
It was between the... So we'll go after roster changes at the end of the show, but I had space for one, and it was the one I took, or...
Archer.
No, because he has... Like,
you got Kingston.
I was going to take Eddie Kingston.
So, this was a lumberjack match where when I went over to the heel side beat up Archer, or the heels beat up Kingston, or Archer, and the... So anyway, there's a spot in this match, so Bunny jumps on Archer's back. Oh my God. What?
I know why this is happening, by the way. And this was a couple weeks ago. I meant to plug it.
So then there's a back fist to Archer from Kingston while Bunny's on her back. On his back. Then for some reason, Angelico gets involved. And then the caveman,
my dude,
spears Butcher through a table.
I know why this is
I know why that's happening too.
Okay.
But he spears him straight through, like the caveman who could not give a good match to Moxley.
Oh no, he gave a great match to Moxley. He didn't need to be in that match. Have you caught up to that point yet?
No.
So this was a guy who was in the WWE Performance Center. He got cut from the roster for COVID cutbacks, right? Because we had to employ the 15 people who chase R-Truth around the ring every show. But this guy, he's like 6'8". He's like 365 legit pounds. He looks like a caveman. Like, they were going to do the Bruiser Brody thing with him. But this dude looks like somebody, right? And he can bench press, like, I think it's like 600 pounds or something. Like, the dude's just a monster. And they put him in a 4-minute semi-squash match with Moxley, who choked him out at the end of the match with the sleeper hold. This was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, because Cody had a 12.5-minute long contest with the guy, the little
porn mustache guy,
big porn stash, little skinny dude. What's his name? Like, something Avalon. Pete Avalon.
Yeah, Pretty Pete.
Yeah, so he had a legitimate contest with Pete Avalon, while the guy who looks like a mountain got jobbed out to Moxley.
So, and then after Caveman, because I don't know his name, puts him through the table. The table lands. So if this is the ring, the table lands in this corner with right about here the two prongs up. In the middle of the ring, and nobody's like, I'm just like watching going, oh, please be aware of that, because somebody's going to get seriously injured with the table legs sticking straight up in the air 3/4 into the corner of the ring. Luckily, Lance performed blackout on Kingston. Archer gets the pin. It was a great.
So that's the ref's job, right there.
Yeah, the ref should have been pushing that out.
The ref's job is to go over there and get that out.
Or maybe one of the 20 lumberjacks around the ring could have pulled that out.
Yeah, even then, but still, that's dangerous, guys.
So then there was a promo backstage with FTR and Tully, and Tully's like, "So Jack, you had to go run to the principal's office and go tell on us, huh? Because they're suspended. So we got pulled out of the tag team match. We got pulled out of the We belong. We are the greatest not unsanctioned. We are the greatest tag team that don't have their belts. We're the greatest unclaimed tag team champions. We belong. We're the greatest tag team in the world. We are champions without belts." FTR. They're like, we deserve this belt.
Isn't the belt?
Yeah, I know. But because of what happened last week. When he threw the dust, and that's how they got out of the whole
I would like everyone to know that I am the greatest UFC middleweight champion of all time. I don't have a belt. I've never had a fight, but I am the greatest. The fuck?
FTR deserves their belts.
They do,
But anyway, it's part of the heel. It's part of Tully Blanchard's heel propaganda. Anyway.
Tully, you know better. You've been in this business for 40 years.
So then they show Marco Stunt handcuffed, and then they pan down him handcuffed in their trailer.
As what, a gimp?
So then we have,
oh, Lord.
For whatever reason, Omega and the Good Brothers
Okay.
versus Pac, Ray Phoenix, and Moxley.
I watched this. Oh, I watched this because I saw Pac because we talked about him coming back.
So much happened so fast.
So let's get our guest's opinion on something. You know, as you said, you're a little bit behind, so I see you're kind of letting us go through the flow on it. But you know, this is your main event of this show. Okay, so let's just pretend for a minute.
They gave him 15 and a half minutes.
This is a 15-minute match for 6 guys who are their upper echelon at this point, right? What do you think would happen in this match?
Well, the only thing that could happen is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it would have had to have been crazy. I mean, it would have had to have been nuts off the wall for it to be the last match of the night.
Yeah.
I mean, normally you would have.
So you have Omega and the Good Brothers.
Now listen very carefully. Omega and the Good Brothers, right?
On one team. So you have the AEW champion and the Impact Tag Team Champions versus Ray Phoenix, Pac, and the only reason that it's not the other Lucha brother is because he's injured, and Moxley, the former.
Okay.
So who
But
pits...
also, what is Moxley right now? He is, as we said, the North American
IWGP.
Okay.
ILP.
Yeah. So keep some of these things in your mind when we go through it.
Who wins the match on this? I mean, I really think they ended the match the way it was supposed to go.
I will agree.
Yeah, it would have to go to the Good Brothers and
who do the Good Brothers pick? Do they pin Phoenix, Pac, or Moxley?
Anybody but Moxley.
They pin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Anybody but Moxley. You're not pinning Pac either right now.
You're not going to pin Pac because he's hot and he's back and he's fresh, right?
And this was so. Before we get to the end, Meltzer gave this a 4.5 stars. I gave it 4 stars. I thought the match was amazing.
This was good, except
I've never seen the Good Brothers work as good as they have.
They were honestly really shining for this, and that goes to show the whole earlier part of the show. So if you get a chance, go back and watch our review of tag teams and our opinions and greatest. You had 2 guys who are experienced with a whole bunch of other guys who are kind of thrown in there, right? But those 2 guys taking control of this, they really showed their control of this match, I will say. I'll agree, this was 4 stars. This is great. Except for when Omega'd it up. Well, he did pretty hardcore Omega it up. And honestly, too...
But it didn't always work.
Moxley'd it up a little bit, too, with the way his facials were sent.
But they didn't go outside. They didn't do a bunch of garbage spots around the ring.
Yeah.
They stayed in the ring for the most part of this match.
I mean, Moxley has this habit of
his selling.
Move, and then he's fine and he gets right back up. It's inherent in wrestling, but he hulks up like Hogan does. He takes 50 moves, 50 V triggers, and Omega's going for the one-winged. And he's going for the one-winged, and he can't catch him, he can't catch him.
So, then he does. So, the match is over. I don't know what you thought, but I popped hard for this. So after the match,
happened, I have 2 thoughts.
So there's a beatdown by Lance Archer. Lance Archer comes down to save the beatdown. So now Moxley is about to. He chases off the Good Brothers, and it's Moxley and Omega. Like they're gonna they're squaring up, and a hooded figure comes up from the behind the ring, waylays Moxley out, laying in the ring, and Kenny, to his acting ability, goes, "Wow, what? I don't know what? Like he's like, I don't know who this is."
I will say the pop for who came in, and he was good at selling it.
He unmasked himself. It was Kenta, his opponent in New Japan.
Guess who looks reunited?
Well,
Bullet Club. Looks like the Bullet Club is fully To the point of not having Balor and other people
In
in it.
AJ.
Well, but from when Kenny took over, it looks like the Bullet Club is all back together.
With the exception of the Tomonga.
Yeah.
They call them the Hit Squad now over in New Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, before I head out, though,
Mhm.
for the night, let me ask you this question. Do you think AJ or Finn, if they could leave, vacate their contract, and reunite with Bullet Club brethren in AEW, do you think they'd jump?
No.
You don't think either one of them?
No.
AEW has a lot of big fishes in a small pond. And I know that almost sounds weird for what WWE is, for the meat grinder that it can be. But if you really look at, okay, maybe they don't have the best storylines, but throughout the year, AJ and Finn are going to be the best match of the year conversations. If they go to AEW, I don't know how that's going to look for them.
Yeah.
I think them being the biggest fish in the bigger pond is better for them than being a big fish in a small pond.
And they don't have I couldn't ever reach the glass ceiling story.
Because they have it. AJ's 2-time. He'll probably be 3-time at some point. Finn's carried the belt. He's carried the belt for the longest, and then he'll probably carry it again for the longest.
Everybody who's in AEW or Impact is like, oh, glass ceiling, couldn't reach it.
I think AJ jumped. AJ spent so long in TNA, totally content to be the big guy in a small federation.
Yeah.
Way longer than he should have. He should have made the jump way before he did.
He may go to Impact, but he's not going to TNA.
Only thing
He's not going to
AEW.
The only thing I'll counter with that is I watched a little bit of AJ's live stream, and I know right before his contract was coming up recently that he just re-signed. AJ is their franchise at this point in some way, because he basically said on his live stream, I've signed the last professional wrestling contract I'll ever sign for my life. Yep. Which is to say they probably gave him the Bret Hart 20-year deal, and that's what he signed. So he will probably finish out his career, he will do tenure, and then he will go and be main office at that point. Probably in the vein of like Arn or somebody was for a while. AJ will transition into the Arn Anderson, Pat Patterson spot at some point, I imagine. He will stick, he's a company guy now. I think if he goes to AEW, you're going to get a surge, but I don't think they have anybody they can bring in, and this is your thing, you're talking about their problem that they have. There's nobody left that they can bring in that's going to revolutionize their industry. Unless, of course, Shaq's not going to work. I mean, Conor McGregor? Maybe. I mentioned it a lot of times, but that's the name that pops in my head. If Conor McGregor showed up, that's a change. If they bring in Finn Balor, if they bring in AJ, if they bring in John Cena, maybe John Cena. Nobody else under that banner, except for an outside main event top level guy, is going to make other non-wrestling people watch that show.
You think it's only a matter of time before Hogan shows up?
They said they won't hire him. No. Tony Khan has come out and said, because of the racist comments and the things he got in trouble with, that him and the wife are barred from being in there. They will not bring them in. If they hold true to that, that's their decision. I think if they could have gotten that in our alternate timeline, Hogan would have been there probably 6 months ago.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to wrap up my part of the appearance. Gentlemen, thank you for having me in. Michael,
Absolutely.
It has been a pleasure
Absolutely.
to hang out with you. Finally
Thank you
meet
very
you
much.
face to
I
face.
appreciate that, sir. Yeah.
So you're going to miss the good part, because this is the part where we actually
I
watch the
know.
show.
I've got daughters at home, and I got to be up early.
Well, you can always listen
I
to
need
us
all
on
my beauty sleep. I will listen to you on the way home.
I appreciate that, sir. And
But-
you know what? Having a viewer is great. Having a guest, I mean, first time, man. How do you feel?
Good.
Good.
This is a blast. Keep carrying him, will you?
I'll do my best,
I mean,
sir.
please keep carrying him.
He's a lot of weight, but we'll get him to that water, and I'll make him drink.
You can come back anytime.
All right.
Yes.
See you guys.
Please, real quick, before you head out, give your stuff a plug for your stuff and what you do. Give your show a plug for us, for our 6 people.
Thanks, man, for your 6 people.
We'll step off and give it to you, man.
No, all
Stuff
right.
is yours.
All right, Outlaw Radio Network. We are the only local political talk radio in Kitsap County. You can check us out. Go to Facebook, search for Outlaw Radio Network. We're on every Sunday night from 8 to 11. We're also doing temporarily, although it's a year now, the COVID show on Wednesday nights from 7 to 8:30-ish or so. It's not your conventional politics show. It's a little more lighthearted. We have a lot more fun. It's a good time. So check us out. Go to Outlaw Radio Network on Facebook and drop a note in the chat when you're watching and let me know that, hey,
Done.
let me know that you heard about it right here. This is Powerbomb Weekly.
Get out.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it, man.
Reset.
All right, we're going to change the set around a little bit.
Powerbomb Weekly.